Hey everybody, coming at you again from the dungeon, and done a couple other videos today, feeling on a roll, not swearing, which is great. What I want to talk about this round is drumsticks, and it's a pretty broad subject. Everyone's got personal opinions about drumsticks and preferences and things, so these are just my opinions on things, and it's not a knock against any other companies. It's just I've tried a lot of stuff, and I tend to like what I like, and I stick with things when they work for me. So as a younger player, when I first started out, I didn't have a drum set, and so I was air drumming, and just anything and everything. And the first set of drumsticks that I made for myself were actually, I took all the bristles out of 2 toothbrushes. Just normal, however long a toothbrush handle is. I took all the bristles out of 2 toothbrushes, and I would air drum with the toothbrushes. I was very young, and it's just all I had. I grew up in a very small town. There wasn't really even a music store so much that I knew of. And I had these toothbrushes, and I just air drummed along for quite a while, actually. And it was still many years before I actually had my own drum set. But one year for Christmas, I ended up receiving a pair of, give me 1 second. I should have had these prepared and ready to go. If I was making more calculated videos, I might have, but here I am, I'm back. These are the first drumsticks I ever got. They're currently being held together by a bit of tape because they cracked. And so trying to salvage them, I put some tape on them. And so the interesting thing is that I've never actually used these drumsticks to hit this would be the first time ever hitting a drum with these drumsticks. These were strictly my air drumming drumsticks. And so you can see that they do have a bit of wear on them. So the wear is actually from the drummer who owned these drumsticks before me. So the story is that my mom, I'm not sure exactly how she got a hold of these, but obviously she knew a few musicians, and some random drummer was nice enough to give her a pair of sticks so she could give to me, so I didn't have to use toothbrushes anymore. So these drumsticks I've had for 36 years. The logo is completely worn off. You can see the color. These used to be the same color as that. So aged is, not even the right word. These things are antiques at this point. So the logo it's been gone for millennia at this point. But what these are is a pair of Vic Firth 5B wood tip drumsticks. Straight off the shelf, nothing special. Hickory standard sticks that, a guy playing in bars back in the late 80s and early 90s would have had at his disposal. So these were the instruments that I used in the early part of my drumming to learn to play. These are all I had for years and years until I bought my first drum set. And so these things are beyond special to me. They sit on a shelf with a lot of my other memorabilia, and I should tell you that they cracked, but it wasn't me that cracked them. A friend of mine was playing on a surface, and they just cracked. So anyway, I've forgiven him, and all is good. So these were the first drumsticks I ever had, and these are what playing as a kid. These felt very big and very heavy, and they're only 5Bs. And even compared to a modern 5B, like some of the other ones I'm using, like this is a modern Vic Firth 5B. And it has a weird stain on it. They call these sticks Terra, upside down. Vic Firth Terra, and it's just a reference to some kind of coating or lacquer they put on them. Yeah, these ones used to be much lighter and they've just aged over time. So yeah, 5Bs are what I started with. 5Bs are what I've tended to stick with pretty much for my entire playing. Something I have noticed that I do like to do every now and then with sticks more than anything is actually change it up. And on some days, I feel it in like my body. It's just whether it's my mood or something uncontrolled. Sometimes a different stick feels better than what would be my normal go-to stick. So getting to my normal go-to stick for years and years and years now. I started out the only sticks in my small town music store that I could find at the time were Zildjian, and the Zildjian sticks. I mean, they might be good now, but I'll never try them. I'll never get another pair because I had such a bad experience. I had very little money as a kid. I was buying things with my own money at the time, and sticks are 15, almost $20. They're about $20 a pair now, but 30 years ago they still cost $10 a pair, and or like $8, something like that. So it's still quite a bit of money. And as a young player, like I would be. My biggest fear was breaking a drum head or a cymbal or a stick because it was so expensive to replace. So I would stretch these things out. Like I would have a hole or tear in my snare head, and I would just duct tape it to make sure that it didn't tear anymore, and try not to kill the tone too much, but do what you had to do. And so I had such a bad experience with Zildjian sticks. I would get some money from my part-time job, and I would go buy 2 pairs, and regular weekly band practices, I would break sometimes 3 of the sticks, and I'd be back to square one. And so I started to look at just it's like an economical thing almost at the time. And my favorite drummer at that time was Lars Ulrich from Metallica, and he had just recently made a switch over to Easton. It was Easton at the time, the baseball bat company. And they were making these, the Easton Ahead drumsticks. And for anybody not familiar, these are an aluminum core, and they have a polyurethane, a cover on them for hitting the cymbals and protecting your gear and stuff. And so I got a set of 5B, tried to match as close to what I was used to in the Easton sticks. And they were much more expensive at the time, but my thought process was, well, if they don't break nearly as often, then I won't be that worried about it. The polyurethane covers were only like $2 at the time. And so I used those for many years. As my playing developed, what I noticed though was that these sticks do not handle my rim shots very well. And if I was breaking them, I have broken a number of these over the years. If anyone out there is watching this video and thinks these sticks are unbreakable, you're dead wrong. I don't know how many guys are endorsed by this company, like what they go through. And obviously they, they can take some abuse and stuff, but they do break. And I was breaking them pretty frequently when I got to be like my late teenager and into my early 20s. I was breaking them right where the rim shots would happen. Quite a bit. And so yeah, I started to kind of drift away from those sticks a bit. It took a little while to adjust to the feel of them as well. Especially on like snare drum and rolls and doubles and stuff feel different on those sticks. I can't really articulate what the difference is. If they feel bouncier, if it makes any sense to anybody. Maybe you have a different opinion if you've used them, but to me, that's what it felt like. It felt like there was just more rebound with them, and you had to learn to control that rebound a bit more. So when I was breaking them, I had moved away from the 5Bs a little bit, and my thought process was some guys like the drummer from Mudvayne, Matt, and Joey from Slipknot was using the head sticks around 2001 or 2002, and they had actually started using all the way down to a 7A. So I was going from a 5B, through the years I had tried 2Bs and some heavier sticks, and like the heavier wasn't good for me. 5B is my starting point. I thought, well, I'll move down and see if that helps anything at all. And so for years, for about probably 2 or 3 years, I used the Ahead 7As. And what I had to do to save them from the rim shots was change the angle of my snare drum fairly drastically. Normally, I don't have a lot of tilt to it because I do really like to hit a lot of rim shots. But I swapped out to a snare with triple flange tubes and changed the angle a bit, and that really saved a lot of drumsticks for me. And so for years I used a 7A, like I was playing black metal and these like, like fast music. And the idea was that if I had a light stick, maybe I would be faster or whatever. And, the silly idea, like, the stick is, I guess it helps a little, but there's plenty of guys who are fast that use 2Bs or like bigger sticks than that even. So for years I was, happily using the Ahead sticks. Occasionally I would swap out every now and then for a pair of wood sticks. And, it was just always a typical like 5B, whatever one I could get my hands on. So then 2008, I kind of started playing a lot more, and, traveling in bands and stuff. And funny enough, it was just like I didn't want to bring expensive gear with me on the road, and I kind of looked at the Ahead sticks as expensive gear, and hard to find. Like in certain cities and stuff, you walk into your local music store, you're not likely to find a set of these or much variety of them if there is any. And so I thought to myself, well, it's probably a better idea to maybe make a move back to wood sticks. So at that time, I started using Vader. And, not endorsed by them at all. And this is a typical 5B, but, I switch every now and then between wood and nylon tips. But the nylon tips I always kind of go to. It's more of a lifespan of the stick sort of thing. I chip a lot of the wood tips. I don't know if it's my cymbal play or whatever, but once the wood tip gets chipped, the stick becomes almost kind of unplayable for me. So the nylon tip makes a big difference in the longevity of the stick. But yeah, I made the switch to these. I tried a few different 5Bs again, and Vader ended up winning out. And the reason, they feel good. I believe they have a bit more weight to them. I haven't measured them to really know, but they feel denser and like they have a bit more weight and a bit more throw to the Vic Firth 5B. And what I really found was that, you can see where, the wear and tear on my sticks is always down here, and just from the amount of rim shots. So any stick I have that, has any kind of wear on it, another perfect example right there. You can see where the wear and tear is on this stick, and it's mostly the rim shot area. Tells you how much I like rim shots. But dumb hiss. So yeah, getting to these sticks, what I found was that the Vader, for some reason, had an ability to just absorb the rim shots here and not break. During that time period, I would say probably a pair of the Vader sticks would last me twice as long as a typical Vic Firth or, I can't even remember the other brands because I never ever tried Zildjian again after my bad experience. So there's Los Cabos and a few other sticks. Los Cabos, a great Canadian company for anyone. I have a bunch of friends endorsed by that company, and great sticks, but they didn't match the Vader for me. And so for years and years and years, Vader, I tried some different sizes, like a 55 AA. I have a set of the Los Angeles 5A that I use with my V drums. It's still nice for me to kind of change sticks, and a lighter stick, it just kind of makes you play, myself speaking, it makes me play a little differently, and it's just a little change can introduce like a whole new feeling to your playing. So I do still change sticks up every now and then. So stuck with them for a long time, and then as I've gotten older and playing more and stuff, I've ended up reverting back and starting to use the Vic Firth 5Bs again. They have a different shaped nylon tip, so they get a different cymbal sound anyways than the Vaders. They don't hold up quite as well to the rim shots, I will say, but they have a different feel. Even though, you know, they might all be labeled 5B, but you know, they do feel different. It's a different throw to them, the weight, the profile of the stick. You know, it's a little hard to tell, but it looks like you know, if you just look, there's more weight up top to the Vader stick comparatively. You know, a different profile, shape, even a slightly different length, you know, holding the butt ends together. There's a little difference in length. Not much, but, you know, every little thing does add a change of the feel of the drumstick. And so, yeah, so that's pretty much it. In discovering some of my preferences, you know, and when I was just kind of exclusively using Vader, I found what I think is kind of like the, it's like the perfect, it's not a compromise, but just like the perfect do everything kind of stick. Not that a 5B can't do it, but this stick, and Josh Freese is the artist. It's Josh Freese's signature stick, the H220. And so this stick was designed as a, if you know anything about his drumming, he is a do-it-all kind of drummer, and the stick does fit that bill. It feels great to play. It has, you know, it's halfway between a 5B and a 5A, I think, in the grip diameter of it. The length is somewhere around the same as, you know, almost exactly the same, in fact, as a 5B, the Vader 5B. And so yeah, it has a very familiar feel. The only thing I don't like is the wood tip. I would probably, if I had my way, I would make a nylon tip version of this just for myself, because on these sticks that ends up being what I break the most often. But I do love these sticks, and some days it feels great even to alternate and have, you know, a 5B in my right hand, Josh Freese, or alternate. I love doing that. It's like a, you know, it's like a whole new experience playing drums when you have a new instrument, as I like to call sticks. They have a note, you know, like they are part of the instrument as well. And so yeah, it adds a whole new feel and a whole new dimension and stuff to the playing when you change little things up like that. So yeah, not really anything too crazy otherwise. I have a few little like special, you know, whips and like whips. What kind of basement is this? What kind of dungeon is this? Drumstick whips. Clearly, not the other kind. So yeah, these are, you know, a little fun, whatever. I don't feel like playing as loud, or I've used these on gigs occasionally where volume was a bit of an issue, because you can, you know, you can tighten the bundle up so it's quite stiff, and then you can get quite a bit of volume out of these anyways too. They're definitely lower volume than sticks, but they are still pretty loud. So, and yeah, and these are cool too. Like they just, you know, whatever, you get these things in your hand and it's a whole new world. And I like these ones versus, I have the hot rods as well, the wood dowels. And, you know, these are ProMark sticks I've used through the years as well, and tried some, but never really ended up sticking with them for some reason. Maybe I'll try them again someday, but so I have the ProMark hot rods as well, and these have a different sound even than the whips, but for shows, if I was ever going to be using them, these things are a bit delicate to be reliant upon for a whole show. And the Vader ones, they have a plastic bristle or plastic rod, and so reliability is much better with these things. There's no fear of really breaking these that I could see anyways. These ones I've actually, might be the other one, but a couple of the dowels have broken off just in light usage as well. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm always trying, when I go to music stores, you know, always trying to get my hands on different sticks, and you know, I've tried some larger ones as well with the idea that you know, my grip might be a bit more relaxed with like a larger stick. And there's some interesting ones, like there used to be a company called True Line that made like a, you know, Danny Carey was their big endorser in the 90s, and it had like basically a gripping area. It was like a bulb on the stick, and it was larger diameter than the stick, and it just gave you an area to hold on to. And you know, and Danny Carey's signature stick is the reverse of that, where it's tapered, where your grip would hold on, and then it's bigger at the butt end where it sits in your hand. So there's so much variety with sticks and so many different things to try. And honestly, if you're close to a good drum shop, or you know, have some ability to go into a store and get hands on with these things, it makes all the difference. And you know, knowing what you like. And you know, there is a sonic component as well. If I'm using like a microscope and like, you know, really analyzing, it's like I can hear differences in cymbals for sure. Just basically, you know, depending on the density of the stick. And you know, back a long time ago, it used to be where actually, you know, before they started pitch pairing and putting sticks together by weight, there would inevitably always be one stick that was slightly heavier than the other. And I've always, it might be a unique thing to me. I don't think it is. There's enough drummers out there where it's probably the case, but a heavier stick would always feel better in one of my hands versus the other. And even if I break a single stick, usually what I'm trying to do when I'm finding another pair or another stick to use is, you know, trying to find one that's, you know, gonna feel good in the whatever hand. So if I've broken a left stick, I'm in here looking for another stick that feels good in my left hand again. It might be a bit lighter, you know, and then if it's my right hand, sometimes I'll be looking for a stick that's slightly heavier for my right hand as well. And even that sometimes is a variable as well. Sometimes if it's, you know, a rock gig or something, you know, where it's a bit more relaxed, but I still want a lot of volume, then sometimes I'll play the heavier stick in my left hand, but with the butt end out, just to get that extra, you know, oomph without really overexerting myself. So yeah, this video ended up being a lot longer, 22 minutes than I expected it to be, but once I kind of thought about, you know, all the different sticks I've used through the years, it's, you know, there's been a lot of experimentation. And you know, it's the great thing is that we're living in an age where there is endless amounts of choice and variation. And so we do have the opportunity to explore these things a little bit. And I encourage you to do that as well. So this has been the one about drumsticks. Cheers.